Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conscious Conversion. Thrilled to have you here today. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're taking good care of yourself these days. Today, I have a very sort of like-hearted and like-minded guest who I'm really excited to get to know better in front of y'all. He is a heart-centered mystic, visionary CEO, dance poet, musician who goes by Flowing River. It's also known as Derren Ohanian. He's an enigma that is sure to delight your senses and tickle your fancies. When he's not pouring tea or helping facilitate the circle of life, he is with his daughter, changing diapers and channeling songs about galactic seahorses to make her smile. Having taken the rainbow path of ascension, he blends teachings and wisdom from across multiple lineages to distill the knowledge of the unseen world into bite-sized golden nuggets that anyone can nibble on at their own pace. Derren, Flowing River, is also the founder of Social Sensei, the leading Instagram influencer marketing agency that leverages the power of celebrity and micro-influencers. He's also the creator of Ascension Academy, an online video course revealing the tools of self-mastery to raise your vibration and embody your highest potential. Derren, you seem absolutely delightful, and I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I'm super excited to dive in wherever you want to go.
Yay. Well, we'll just see where it leads. My first question is damn near always, what kind of impact do you want to make in the world over the course of the next 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing that we're involved with is Social Sensei. So we want to empower other heart-centered entrepreneurs and facilitators of life to be able to get their message out there to a wider audience. We see that, the big boys, the big box companies, they have million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar marketing initiatives. And how is it possible for someone like Sarah in the middle of Costa Rica to be able to get out this beautiful message that is going to help the collective move past a lot of the problems that we're seeing show up in the news feeds, our presidential debate in America, and so forth, so that we can really create the reality that we desire to experience, which is most likely heaven on earth.
Hell yeah, you really articulated that beautifully well. And we have such similar missions. We were just talking before I hit record about, how there really is well more than a critical mass of people on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, that we can influence, that spiritual thought leaders can influence with their message to create unity consciousness, heaven on earth. So I'm so grateful that that's the impact that you want to make in the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that a lot of people that are in maybe these more spiritual practices and realms, they get on a computer and they're completely lost. So it's difficult for them to kind of ground in these visions and ideas and concepts that they have to make a more beautiful community, create symbiotic harmony with Mother Earth and things of that nature. And we see people being able to use social media to influence. We actually specifically work with these influencers to drive traffic to people's accounts so that they can get their message out, get their products and service out there, out into the world. So that's definitely our goal.
Awesome. So you use like really big influencers, people with huge followings on Instagram, and you have them promote the goods and services of your clients.
So there's primary two paths that we offer our clients. One is through what we call micro influencers, where it's going to look like a more traditional influencer campaign, except it's a little bit different than what you see as a social ad where there's a model and then she puts up like hair product next to her face smiling. We get a little bit more creative than that. So we work with your company, and it's a little bit like Tinder, where you have to put out what your product message and brand is. And then the influencers get to either swipe left and be like, hey, that doesn't resonate with my audience, or hey, I do feel called to promote this to my audience. Because being an influencer, one of the primary things is trust. So the moment that you abuse that trust and just sell yourself out, you're going to lose your audience. And so influencers know how important it is to find that match. So there's that route, which is more of like a creative campaign. We call it creator marketing, actually, because we come up with fun campaigns to promote your product or service through Instagram stories, Instagram TV, photos, or videos. I can give you some examples of that maybe a little bit later. And then the other option that we do is called an Instagram loop giveaway. So we'll leverage the audience of our influencer to run a promotional campaign. Usually we'll give away some sort of prize, like let's say $500 or an iPhone, and then people will be incentivized to follow our clients' accounts. So the focus there is more so on gaining followers and getting more exposure for your brand so that you can get more credibility online and establish yourself as an expert in the space that you're looking to kind of ground into.
Okay, cool. I'm curious with the influencers, like what type of, given that you have this very strong spiritual component to, or not just component, like that is what you live and breathe. And you do this influencer marketing. I'm wondering, I'm speaking selfishly, but I'm also speaking on behalf of the people that I think would be listening to this podcast. Like, what kinds of influencers do you have in your roster? Are they of our ilk?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And so for the Instagram loop giveaways, we have a roster of in between roughly 300 and 500. It's always rotating. Some people come in and out of contract. And those people are more of a mainstream audience. So you're going to get less targeted audience and more regional. So like USA, mainstream consumers that are ready to purchase things anywhere from like an 18 to 35-year-old age range. Now, when you go into creator marketing, since it's a matchmaking process, we're going to work directly with you to understand what it is, what your target audience is, and then we'll be able to match like exactly the top 5 influencers that we feel would resonate with your message. So for instance, if you're in yoga, we'll find other yoga practitioners or maybe yoga teachers that you'll be able to work with and have a complete breakdown of their demographics. So age range, location of their followers, male, female demographics, as well as engagement percentage and how many that they currently have. This helps you make an educated decision on, do I want to go for like the single shot, let's just work with the biggest influencer I can and spend my entire budget there? Or do I want to work with a bunch of smaller influencers and create an entire campaign and see if I can get into these micro communities?
Yeah, I'm curious, how do you find your people, Social Sensei? How do you find your clients and customers? Do you do that organically using the same methods that you use for your clients, or do you have other ways like paid ads, for instance?
Yes, and so there's multiple marketing verticals. Influencer marketing is just another marketing vertical. And what I always tell people is test. Figure out what vertical works for you best. Maybe it is paid ads for your product or service. That's the way to go. Then influencer marketing isn't for you. That's totally fine. Other people, they go to expos and they set up booths and they handshake every single person that they can. So it's up to you to figure out what works for your particular business. But you'll never know without taking the leap and investing some capital into it and seeing if it works for you or not. For us personally, we do a multitude of things. I have over 14 years of experience in business and marketing, so we're hitting multiple fronts at the same time. One of our big ones is SEO. Our industry, there's multiple competitors in the Instagram growth space. There's not a lot of competitors for exactly what we're doing, which is mid-market small businesses to work with influencers. There's a lot of big agencies that work with the Beyoncés, the Britney Spears, and that's why we actually got into this business, to make it more accessible. But with that, it's a kind of a new thing. So there's a lot of education that has to go on. So SEO with blog posts, with YouTube videos, helps us educate people to understand like how they can actually use this service to help bring more abundance to their life. Another thing that I'm doing is, me personally, as the CEO and face of the company, going out to podcasts and getting out there so people can see me, understand my message, my core values, and say, hey, I like that resonates with me. I want to work with this guy as well. So you'll see me a lot on LinkedIn, making posts, going on other shows. I've also set up my own podcast. So I'm bringing in other thought leaders and business leaders onto my podcast to just, share their expertise. And this creates strong brand association. So now Social Sensei is associated with other thought leaders and business leaders in the marketing space. So those are a couple of things that I'm doing. We're also doing paid ads, certainly through Google primarily right now. But you can also, leverage Facebook or Instagram ads to see if that works. And then for ourselves, we do the Instagram influencer marketing on our Leaders in Business podcast. So this is to attract other business owners and e-commerce stores, other people that want to be influencers, and other digital agencies to our Instagram page, because we feel that one thing with social media, if I was just driving Social Sensei, that's great, but at the same time, it's like we're kind of selling a product service. I'd rather have it as a kind of a slow building a relationship, in so much that I'm providing you value first through the education of these other business leaders or marketing tactics. And then you realize, oh, Social Sensei is behind this. And that's when we make the conversion. So we're more in the slow versus the fast. We really want to establish ourselves as an expert first. And it is an investment. Not everyone can do that play, because some people need to generate income right away, whereas we're in a fortunate situation that we can kind of have a 1 to 2 year runway to fully establish ourselves in the market space before we're like, okay, it's just pouring golden showers on us. Yeah.
So I am curious too, just as we were talking a little bit before, how do you marry your deep spirituality with the business that you're running?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, spirit comes first.
Yeah.
Business is actually quite down on the totem pole. If I'm not in a centered space, if I'm not in my complete knowing of the path that I'm going on, then I'm going to be able to get distracted and influenced by other outside sources that are going to pull me off of my own purpose. I'm dropping into meditation. Me personally, I practice at least 1 hour a day. Everyone's different. You don't have to do an hour. You don't have to be the guru who's doing 3 hours at 3 a.m. in the morning, but find what works for you so you can stay good. This allows me to show inside of my organization and for my clients in my highest to be of best service to them, to say, hey, so if something comes up, like for instance, in August 2019, Instagram changed their entire algorithm. We lost 85,000 a month per night. Now, a lot of people might freak out about that, but I didn't even bat an eye. I was just like, okay, cool. This is what it is. So what do? We're ballerinas. So let's pivot on our toes to figure out what is the next business model that we're going to go into. And this is the entrepreneurial spirit too. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So just as long as you're taking that step by step every day, you'll get there.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that there's something also about marrying that entrepreneurial spirit with spirit, which is, not that they have to be separate, but there's also what I hear from you too, is that you are sort of in a place of deep service to the planet and to humanity. And that's your ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. And then the business goals are secondary to that. So where you can have an entrepreneurial spirit that pivots and also be surrendered to being of service to Mother Earth or to Source or whatever. There's just a deep trust that comes with that, knowing that you can stay in that sort of that space.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people, that take the entrepreneurial path first before going the spirit path will find themselves in what people consider like the lone wolf syndrome. And so, we think we have to do everything ourselves. It has to be perfect because we're in self-judgment. We have to control everything because we aren't trusting and we aren't surrendering to the process and we don't feel safe. And so when we can kind of move past those traumas and those stories, it really allows us to get into the venerable flow state that Silicon Valley is so enamored with and is taking all types of hallucinogenic drugs to try to get into. But you can do this, without anything, of course, just by going inwards. But the entrepreneurial spirit is can be incredibly powerful and useful in your life's purpose. So when you can marry and align those two desires to a singular point and focus of being of service and trust in that, knowing that maybe when one door closes, another door opens, and that it's even better than you could ever imagine, it allows you very easily to surrender these big tsunami waves that may appear in your life. So because Instagram changed their algorithm, we could no longer do Instagram automation. So in that moment, I surrendered and said, okay, I'm not going to fight that. I'm not going to fight Instagram. Let's figure out what is the most graceful transition that we can make into the next business model. And it ended up being social media management, which we ended up finding out was too time consuming. And there's just too many little details that we had to take care of, which led us to influencer marketing that we're in now, which has been amazing for us. So you can see that when you let go of something, you receive it even more, the thing that you desired unconsciously, which is success and abundance.
Yeah, I love it. And not just success for self, but success for the collective. And those two things are so closely tied in our world. So thank you for all that. I feel like you just dropped like bombshells of good wisdom and tips and all sorts of things. I'm curious. I want to talk very briefly, if you're willing, about the other offering that you have, Ascension Academy. Is there anything you want to talk about with regards to that offering?
Sure, absolutely. So Ascension Academy is my spirit project, and it's something that I'm very feel called to, and actually will most likely transition full time into eventually. But while I'm in this liminal state, I'm playing in both of these worlds. But Ascension Academy are the tools and techniques that I've found in my own life that have brought me greater prosperity, greater peace, and self-mastery over myself. So that way, when certain energies come into my field of awareness, say I get triggered into anger and things of this nature, instead of reacting to that energy that's being present, I get to consciously choose and say, okay, I see you, anger. I love you. Thank you for teaching me that I can be, choosing unconditional love in this moment for myself and for the person or place or thing that's in front of me, and allows me to move through life creating these, turbulent ripples that keep people stuck in these patterns and loops of self-sabotage that prevent you from actually getting to where you want to get to. So these tools will allow you to stay centered, and these tools will allow you to ascend the illusion that is presenting itself to you, so that you can truly manifest your heart's desires in each and every single moment with full sovereignty and full power to do so.
Wow. Amazing. You very eloquently speak about your offerings. I'm impressed. I have a question too. As somebody who, I know you're probably like me as a CEO of a business, that you tend to want to delegate as much as possible, right? And do it in a way that is authentic, and do it in a way that's not going to jeopardize the integrity of what you offer, of your business, of the intention that you hold for your business. How do you do that? How do you delegate things like marketing or social media, or the paid stuff, the paid ads, the emails? How do you delegate all of that and still stay true to your own voice and intention?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've certainly, over the 14 years, have turned into a master of delegation, and that's like one of the key arts of scaling any business. So first and foremost, you have to start with the hiring process. You have to understand the type of person that you want to hire into your organization. Anyone can be trained, but there's certain things that, the way they were raised, their ideology, and things that would be much more difficult to shift in the brief, short amount of period of time that they're working with you, especially since that's not your responsibility to walk the path for them. So the hiring process is like critical to your success. You want to get 18 players. And if you don't know what an 18 player is, just hire people randomly and you'll figure out what is not working. So once you have the hiring process down, you need to understand how to delegate the task. So you yourself should have done the task, or at least understand it enough that you can hand it off to another person and create a replicable process of success. So for instance, for me in my business, I played every single position. I've been customer service, I've been sales, I've been the web developer, I've been the graphic designer. I'm not saying you have to do all of that, but if you want to truly replicate the success that you're having and distill it to somebody else so that they can do it, it has to be a step-by-step process. So I have documents on, well, here's how you do cold emails with a cold sales process, and sending it out to people and create these relationships. And it's replicable and it's easy. So it's very clear for them to understand what it is they have to do and what their task is. A lot of business owners, they just say, oh, just do the marketing. And then they come back and they realize, oh, you're not getting the results. Why are you not getting the results? Well, maybe you weren't very clear with what they were supposed to be doing. And now you had an expectation that wasn't communicated to them. And now you're both upset at each other because of this lack of communication. The next thing is also very, very clear goals. So everyone on the team needs to understand, where are they going? What KPIs, key performance indicators, are they being judged by, so that they can feel good, like, hey, I'm doing my job great. See, I'm doing awesome. And then you can give them a cookie for being awesome. If they don't have those clear KPIs, then again, you're not being clear, and the results may vary. So they don't know why they would be reprimanded or why they would get a raise. And then the next thing that I do too is, obviously we have like weekly check-ins with each department and team to make sure we're on track. What did they get done last week? What's the vision for next week? And who's the one creating that vision? As CEO, you are the visionary of your company. So this is why it's important for me to have grounding in my practice, so that I can stay clear and be able to share, okay, here's how we're going to show up on social media, how we're going to show up in marketing. And it's more so just like the energy of it, right? Because the next step is trusting and empowering your team to be able to do their job. So as a delegator, I can't be over their shoulders, like watching every single move. That's going to disempower them. They're going to be in a fear state, like, oh, Darren's coming in, like telling me I'm doing something wrong every 10 seconds. Like, that puts them in a contracted state, which is going to make them play smaller than they are. Whereas we can empower them, open them up, and encourage them to do more to act from a place of their zone of genius. This allows them to fully express themselves and fully feel empowered. Like, I am part of this company. I'm helping like drive this thing to the next level. And of course, as the leader, hey, you're doing great. This is amazing. Like, I'm always in awe of my team. Like, my team is amazing. Like, I love them so much. Like, they blow me away with things that I'm not even thinking about. So
yeah, no, I love it. I find every word that's coming out of your mouth almost is like, oh wow, this is great because I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. But I've never articulated it so beautifully. It's like you should be a business coach if you're not already, because you articulate what one should do in order to be sort of authentic and successful quite well. And I'm super grateful. Hopefully my team listens and affirms this, but I'm super grateful. I think I'm doing it all intuitively without necessarily speaking to it in the same way that you do. So thank you for that articulation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know it all. It's all inside of you. Right. And the last thing I do is, like, once a month, I have a company-wide meeting. And this is where I'll take the lessons that I've learned from not only the organization, but business, and share it with the entire team. So I'll take like the top 3 lessons, like, oh, this month I learned, how to navigate like employee CEO relations so that they feel more part of the family versus like they're just working for me. And how do I do that? Oh, well, let's do every single Friday. Like, let's talk about, what's coming up for us, or let's have a check-in or something like this just on Slack. And so, or have an open door policy. So any employee could come to you with anything that's coming up for them, and they don't have to be afraid of like any sort of judgment or punishment for doing so. So there's always ways to improve communication and things of this nature, and being honest with yourself and saying, hey, this is where I have a weak spot, and what is it that I can be doing to improve, and then sharing that. So that way your team can also make the upgrades and the entire organization starts flowing a lot more gracefully.
Beautiful.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. So
That's it.
Flowing River, tell me, what is your next level? What's the next level for you, or for, so I'm more interested in what's the next level for you than I am for like necessarily Social Sensei.
Yeah, certainly. So the next level for me, that's a very broad question, but I mean, tuning into that from a business sense, like really transitioning out of social media and moving full-time into Ascension Academy, business coaching, working with CEOs, which I do on the very kind of low key. Like if people resonate into my field, then, you know, I'll be of service to them, but I'm not like advertising and things like that. But
Right.
moving more into that space would definitely be the next level for business for me. And then personally, the next level is really increasing my awareness and my consciousness so that I can fully choose love in each and every single moment, not only for what I'm seeing, but for all beings, people, places, and things that I'm aware of in a moment. And I'll just expand on that for a moment, just because a lot of times people can get into, especially on the spiritual path, you know, choose love, be unconditional loving, and yada, yada, yada. And you could be in a relationship with somebody, and if you're just unconditionally loving them fully, which is totally fine, but they could be abusive towards you, you know, and you could be sacrificing your own expression to be staying with this person. So unconditionally loving not only the person in front of me, but also myself, to choose the best possible reality for all of us. And that's really what I'm tuning into.
Love it. Thank you for that. And I am curious if you can tell us, what is the very best way for people to find you if they either resonate with Social Sensei or Ascension Academy, or they want to resonate in your field to find you for business coaching? What is the way for them to hang out with you?
Yeah, so Social Sensei is really easy. You just go to socialsensei.co, and you can learn everything about what we do with influencer marketing. If you're interested in transcending pain and embodying your bliss, then check out ascensionacademy.co. And you can drop us an email there and get connected with me. And if you're on LinkedIn, you can just search me, Derren Ohanian, very easy to find. I'm probably the one guy in full lotus position on LinkedIn. So
LinkedIn's a whole different world.
Yeah, exactly. Check me out there. We can get connected.
I might be the only one holding a crystal in my hand. Awesome. Well, it was absolutely lovely connecting with you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your, well, not all of it, but a little microcosm of your beautiful wisdom with us, business and spiritual. And I look forward to being in touch.
Absolutely. And before we go, is it possible that I can share a poem with your audience?
Oh my goodness, please do it. That would be a wonderful way to close.
Absolutely. Thank you. And then Spirit said, do you want to take up this sacred mission? I felt into my intuition and I said, so you're telling me all I have to do is listen? Spirit nodded. I said, okay, I accept. Then boom, boom, zap, zap, mind explosion, implosion, attachment, erosion, heart revolving, problem solving, resolving all pain, new name, handpicked, organic, homegrown, return home to reclaim my throne and take my place amongst the angel kings. Out of nothing, everything. I bring that rhythm, that beat, that heartbeat under my feet, skip a beat, take it to the streets, feed them what they need, not from a place of greed, but respect. Do you project? Inspect the scenes you select. And if you detect a hint, a clue of that glue that keeps you stuck to the old you, well, baby boy, you got some work to do. Me, I'll be dancing, romancing, taking my chance in the winds of change as I rearrange titles and names, break the chains and the rules of the game. Now they sing in praises of my name. Glory and gold, riches untold, unfold before my very eye, showering my blessings on all as the rain falling from the sky. For when you grow, I grow. So the seeds I sow are from the purest intentions, infused across all timelines and dimensions, so you can receive the download from the cloud. Can you hear me now, thinking aloud? All in due time. No need to rush to align. Just follow the signs to the picture perfect paradigm. And then Spirit said, it's time to party. I was like, well, okay then. At least let me get my gold sparkly cowboy boots on first so I could get down at the hoedown, enjoy the show. Meow.
Oh, that was so good. Thank you. And I hope y'all loved that as much as I did. And I hope it dances you into the rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and check you next week.